Good afternoon. Monday, the 22nd of February 2021 today, and this is the English language summary at the CCSA as always. So first, to start off, we will be perhaps having some changes in the schedule of the daily press briefing in due course. Meaning that on weekends, most likely, we will not be having briefings. And starting next week, perhaps some changes in the scheduling, perhaps not every day. But nevertheless, our information released, all of our updates will be available on social media as you know already. The various social media outlets of the CCSA and the various government agencies, the official news sources, as you are aware. So first, starting off with the daily update, daily situation for today, the numbers that we have for today. New confirmed case, we have at 89 new cases. Now, mind you that the active case finding has been scaled down. Nevertheless, we have been able to seek out most of the active case finding cases in the target provinces already. So 89 new cases recorded for today. Out of that number, 59 are from local transmission, 14 are from active case finding, and 16 are from those found within the state quarantine system. We have recoveries discharged as 76 persons, and active cases still being treated currently in Thailand, stands at 1,060 with no new fatalities, as you can see on screen. So just some observations from the informative briefing that we heard just now from Dr. Apisamai, the assistant spokesperson. Just some observations. First is there were a lot of graphs and maps shown. I'll show you one simple map, of Thailand. And I've shown you this some time before already. But just to update that between the 16th to the 22nd of February, you've noticed that there are more green provinces now, around 48 green provinces, meaning that they have found no new case of COVID in the past 7 days. And the red and the orange, and then the yellow, orange, and then red. So those are the various provinces which have not found any cases in 5 to 6 days, 3 to 4 days, or 2 days. So it's sort of like cascading down. But nevertheless, if you look at the general picture, more green, some white, and less of the red and orange provinces, which is good news to hear. But overall, for the current update, we can say that the cases are mostly found in various other provinces. 57% of cases are found in various provinces around the country. 42% found particularly in Samut Sakhon province, and 0% in Bangkok. So Samut Sakhon, of course, is the province with the highest number of cases, followed by other provinces, a combination of other provinces making 57%, and then Bangkok is 0. We talked about the Pathum Thani cluster in the past days. From almost the whole month of February, the 9th to the 20th of February, 2021, we have found around 430 cases in Pathum Thani in particular. So that's cumulative in Pathum Thani for around 2 to 3 weeks. Now, Dr. Pisamai also mentioned about a particular arrival, a particular case of foreign tourists in Thailand. This is particularly about the Gulf quarantine system that we have. So we have had the arrival on the 18th of February 2021 of around 40 plus tourists from the Republic of Korea. This is a project in cooperation with the Tourism Authority of Thailand in Seoul, Republic of Korea. And it had been proposed and had passed the approval of the CCSA for arrival. So the Gulf quarantine system will, by all standards and measures, be in line with the various measures that we have undertaken to quarantine and to test arriving passengers, 2 tests in particular. So these Gulf quarantine visitors from the Republic of Korea, they were quarantined and they will be touring the Atitaya golf course. So this is in support of our tourism industry, and as I mentioned, very much in the standard of our various measures and enforcement in terms of international arrivals. This is similar actually to the villa quarantine that I mentioned on Friday, that Dr. Tuisin also mentioned on Friday, about a group of tourists coming in to a hotel in Phuket province, around 70 plus tourists, and being quarantined in the villa quarantine in the first 5 days, having to stay in their room, and in the latter days of their quarantine, able to come out and use the facilities, but within a restricted and contained area within that particular hotel villa quarantine. So these are the adjustments, the schemes that we have come up with to actually help the tourism industry in Thailand as we move towards relaxing various measures around the country. Nevertheless, we have the alternative state quarantine, alternative local quarantine, organizational quarantine, factory quarantine. I can go on and on with the various types of quarantine which are within our system and within our means to control COVID. Dr. Pisamai also mentioned that the numbers in terms of the use of ASQ, ALQ around the country, the numbers are kind of dynamic, are kind of moving because of the number of people coming in or the numbers changing, and also because of the decreasing number of cases around the world as well. So I'll just move on to the plans to relax measures. As mentioned today, Monday, it's Monday today, the 22nd of February, in the afternoon at 2 p.m. today, a few hours from now, we'll be having the General CCSA meeting wherein the Prime Minister, as the Director of the CCSA, will chair the meeting. The discussion will be to decide on relaxation measures as well as a blanket extension of the emergency decree, for example, to maintain containment of the outbreak. However, we realize that there is a balance that has to be made between relaxation and containment. So this will be approved later on this afternoon. It may most likely include also the recategorization of provinces, as we had insinuated earlier, as well as because with the vaccines arriving in Thailand in due course very soon on the 24th of February, it's imperative that we make effective the various preventive measures to be put in place to prevent further infections, even with the vaccines, hoping that the vaccines will be most successful. So this is one of the reasons why we are considering it very carefully, a balance between relaxation and containment. So, moreover, the new cluster of COVID in the fresh markets in Pathum Thani, that was mentioned last time. So this is one case that we have to consider in terms of how far we will be relaxing the measures. And the government has asked everyone involved who have been at the markets in Pathum Thani during the 9th to the 13th of February, particularly Porn Pat Market in Pathum Thani, during those dates to conduct self-isolation, wear masks, avoid going to crowded places, and avoid sharing foods and utensils, always wash hands frequently. So whether or not the preventive measures are working or not will be relaxed. How far that will go, we will continue to urge the public to follow the various measures, DMHTT, and remain vigilant to continue to prevent the spread of the virus. One issue, important, issued by the Ministry of Public Health is on the urging of members of the public to avoid hosting parties or social gatherings. And we mention this quite often. The ministry understands that some social gatherings are unavoidable and have set up guidelines for the public to prevent the spread of COVID in gatherings. So these suggestions you can see on the infographic on screen right now include avoid or reduce alcoholic consumption, avoid blowing out candles on cakes, avoid hosting parties in crowded places with bad ventilation, and don't share cigarettes or glasses, avoid sharing food and utensils and the like. So every day also, we also have the certain information from the World Health Organization. Today we have an infographic coming up for you. As we are exposed to large amounts of information during the pandemic, the World Health Organization has advised us just some tips on how to navigate the infodemic that we have every day, including identifying the information source, reading the whole story, searching the author, about the author's name, credibility, double-checking the date, examining the evidence, and checking to see if you have any bias in support of this information which may be fake or false, and also consulting trusted fact-checking organizations to vet the information. It's also advised you always verify news and updates with official sources and websites or your local authorities as well as often as possible, and keep yourself updated with the news and announcements from the daily briefings, for example, the ones that we have today for you. So just in closing, we have a steady decline in the number of infections in the past 2 weeks in Thailand, and also it's a trend around the world as well, not only in Thailand. It means that we just have to put the situation more tightly under control and eradicate the risk once and for all. So I know that we're looking forward to life before COVID. Most likely, this will be just around the corner, hopefully, with the vaccines arriving in Thailand very, very soon. It's just a matter of time before all of us will be protected and confident in not having the risk with the virus. But until then, of course, we have to make it clear. We might sound kind of repetitive, but we're not out of the woods yet. We have to remind you all the time to please maintain the measures that we have talked about all along, DMHTT. It's very important, and soon that day will come when the risk is far away from us and we will be able to live life normally as we always have. So thank you very much for your attention today. As mentioned, we might have a change in the schedules of the briefings in due course. Maybe not on weekends, maybe not every day, but as necessary. But nevertheless, you can still find information on our social media pages, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the COVID Center, CCSA, the Center for Disease Control, Facebook of the Ministry of Public Health, and the like. So thank you very much. Have a very pleasant week ahead. สวัสดีครับ
ครับขอบพระคุณนะครับท่านณัฐภานุนพคุณนะครับรองอธิบดีกรมสารนิเทศและรองโฆษกกระทรวงการต่างประเทศนะครับและทั้งหมดคือการแถลงข่าวจากศูนย์บริหารสถานการณ์โควิด -19 หรือสบคประจำวันนี้นะครับผมสุพนันท์ มนตรีพร้อมทีมงานทั้งหมดลาไปก่อนครับสวัสดีครับ